All right, afternoon, everybody. We got head coach Nate Dreiling with us. We'll let coach open up with some comments about this game this weekend against Washington State, and then you guys can ask questions.
That should be a fun one. Washington State, another ranked opponent that we're coming up against. They do an unbelievable job of finishing games. You see a couple times they're down by a couple scores in the fourth quarter, and they are very mentally tough, and you just can't put them away. So it's a game that we're going to have to come out swinging. We're going to have to stay on top of it because they're with that quarterback that they have and their offense, they're never out of the fight. So it's going to be a fun atmosphere, ranked match in a night game. So it's going to be hard to beat. Let's go with some questions.
Coach, this is Jason Walker with Cash Relay Daily. Just want to ask about coming out of the bye week. Obviously, there's a lot of injury concerns. Is there anyone you're expecting to be able to come back after the bye week?
Nah, not really. We're one of the few teams that if you get injured, you are out for the year here. We're only a severe injury, so we have no one really on the brink of coming back. So it's just keep everyone that we do have healthy and make sure the next guy's up is ready to roll.
Kind of want to ask a bit of a follow-up to that. With a lot of the guys who've had to step up, how valuable was that bye week to help them maybe get up a little bit more to speed in their new role?
Yeah, no doubt. It's getting them comfortable, right? We practiced 3 days during the bye week, gave them the rest of the time off. We're just so limited at a lot of spots. It's hard to go out and practice every day. But that being said, we just try to simplify some things to make sure our younger players that go in that they're not overwhelmed by the scheme, and it's just coming down to them doing fundamentals of technique, which they've practiced 9 million times. So making sure it's about us during the bye week was the ultimate goal, and hopefully it'll pay off.
Nate Trentwood with the Deseret News. I'm curious if momentum is real and if you saw it in the bye week, just the energy and excitement around the team, if you see any momentum off of that Wyoming win.
Yeah, I don't know, Trent. Momentum is real if you are mentally weak, and it rolls over top of you because you can't stand and fight against it. You just kind of crumble, and that's when the snowball effects come, and everything gets worse and worse and worse. And that is true. So hopefully that's not the mindset of the team we have. If you have a mentally tough team, like they might get a couple plays, but that is totally irrelevant on what's about to happen the next snap because I've already reset and I'm back to zero and I'm back to playing my play and playing my game. So we are in great moods, right? Great spirits. But when we were 1-5 or 1-6 or 2-6, it's crazy. You walk into work every day and everyone's smiling and they're working their butts off. They know there's a lot left out there for us this season as long as we keep getting a little bit better.
Coach Dreiling, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. With the exception of the UNLV games, you guys really have the UNLV game. You really haven't turned the ball over much, and the turnover margin has been you've done pretty well, or at least even for most of those weeks. So how confident are you that you've kind of gotten that straightened out, and how important will that be this week against the Washington State team that's +8 in turnover margin?
Man, +8. That's why they're 7-1. Spencer's done an unbelievable job. I feel like, especially this last couple weeks of getting the ball where he needs to get it, but even more importantly, on time. Not only is he not really turning the ball over, not really taking a bunch of sacks. So that leaves you with very few negative plays and third and XLs, and we're kind of in that third and medium range, which we need to win. So if we can stay at a third and long, that's when most turnovers come, and if we can keep establishing our run game and make sure Spencer feels comfortable pulling and throwing when it's time to do that, then it's just it's hard to turn the ball over with a smart quarterback. With Wazoo, the guy they got back there at quarterback, John Mateer, he's the real deal. He's hard to get down, hard to sack. He is very fluid, can move, can make every throw in the book. And even more so, he's a smart quarterback. He doesn't put himself in a lot of harm's way with his passes. If a guy's there, he'll hit him. If not, he'll just eat it. So that's why the formula is pretty easy for winning football games. You gotta be able to tackle, block, and win the turnover margin. Washington State's done that unbelievable job so far.
Hey, Coach, Eric Franston with 106.9 The Fan. That kind of leads into a question I had for you about Spencer and not having Jalen Royals available. There's no question he was a favorite target for Spencer. And last game against Wyoming, it was who else can step into that void left with him. How do you feel like that's been addressed in the bye week with Spencer and these other wide receivers and improving their connections?
I think that it's always been that kind of next guy up mentality, right? You knew Jalen was going to get 150 yards. You knew Razul was going to run for over 100. And then it was always the next guy was going to have a big game. And now that next guy, right, is, they have to be way more consistent. Not that they weren't, but the ball is going to come to them a lot often, right? Whether that's Otto or Kyrie's or Jack. Grant Page, you have all these guys that have unbelievable talent. And each of them have had individual games of over 100 yards, right? So now can we stack that and have a couple of them do it consistently every single week? So it is going to be interesting to see how teams defend us now with Jalen out, whether it's just more man free and less zone stuff. It was a lot of cover 2 stuff over top of Royals. So we'll have to make adjustments once they see how they're going to play. And then it's going to come down to our guys winning the one-on-one matchups, which we feel confident in.
Hey, Coach Patrick Mayhorn from the Ag Ship. Washington State's running the ball really well this year. The offense has changed a little bit. They've got a running back who's having a lot of success. Mateer's having a lot of success. How have you seen this offense kind of evolve from being pass first to something where they do have pretty much 50-50 balance with their run and pass share?
Yeah, and they do a good job of creating QB run game as well. Kind of what you're alluding to, Patrick. But it's a handful. Not only can they throw the now screens every single play. There's an RPO tag, so if you play too loose in coverage, the ball is always going to get kicked on the edge. And they have a couple really good receivers that can take it 80 yards whenever they want. And at the same time, if you play too loose on the box, they're very comfortable handing that thing off. So I think offensively they're doing a good job of just taking what the defense gives them, and they're not forcing it, and that's why you don't see a lot of turnovers, you don't see a lot of negative plays. They're just very consistent with what they want to do. So our handful that we have to have is being able to try to force some different reads, try to confuse the quarterback, and keep them out of 3rd and short, right? Get us some 3rd and longs and see if we can't heat this guy up a little bit.
Coach Dreiling, Jason Turner again. Their defense, they've given up a fair amount of yards, but they kind of make you earn your way down the field for the most part. Not a lot of yards per completion, and they have a lot of takeaways. So what do you see from that? What specifically do you see from that defense?
They do a good job of exactly what you're talking about, kind of valuing points over yards. And then when it gets down to the red zone, everything gets tighter and it's harder to score. So they know what they have. They have an offense that can outscore any team in the country, and they have a defense that's going to force turnovers and going to make you drive it 20 plus plays to try to get points. That's kind of the formula that you want for success, right? So we have to be able to not only create explosives, but when they are taking that away, we have to be able to grind out the ball, being able to run it, get 4 to 5 yards of carry, throw the ball on time, stay out of our 3rd and long, so we can stay kind of in rhythm and ahead of the sticks. If we can do that, right, we feel confident that we can move the ball against anybody. I think Washington State just does a good job of eliminating big plays and forcing your hand a little bit to throw some throws you don't want to make.
Coach Jason Walker again. Against Wyoming, that was the 2nd time you've held a team under 30 points this season. First time against an FBS opponent. What was the thing that kind of changed in that game where you guys saw more success on defense, and what do you got to do to try and make sure that happens against a really tough opponent in Washington State?
The big thing is we opened up conference play with the top 3 offenses in the Mountain West, all scoring I think 45 a game. We played really good offenses and really good quarterbacks. But we spent a lot of time on that Wyoming week of really simplifying it for our players, making sure that it was easy keys, and allowing them to play fast. We know we're not playing with the guys we started with the year. We got 8 or 9 guys out for the season on defense. So what can we do on defense as far as schematically where they feel comfortable, where they can go play fast and go have fun? It's going to be the same mindset going into Washington State. Keep it simple for us. Try to make it confusing and complex for the offensive picture. But at the end of the day, you just got to go win your one-on-ones.
Coach Dreiling, so just for the record, are guys like Gabe Peterson and Avante Dickerson, are those guys out for the season, or is there a chance that you might get them back at some point?
Avante is back. Gabe Peterson is still timeline is we don't know yet. Probably out for the season. And then John Ross May is having surgery on his bicep, so he'll be out for the season as well. As well as Logan Peely had surgery on his hand.
I want to ask one more question with Jack Hystera. You mentioned him. He had that big game against UNLV. He's caught one pass since. I know he was filling in for Kyrie White in that UNLV game. Is it just kind of a depth chart thing where we haven't seen him as much at that slot receiver position?
But I mean, he's been out there. It's just haven't been able to work out in his favor to get him touches. He is a player that we like on certain matchups, especially man, with how he runs his routes in the slot and how he can get open. So he's one of those guys I was kind of talking about that, we need to consistently get the ball to. We know Kyrie is going to be one of our favorite targets. Otto is going to be one of our favorite targets. If we can get Jack going as well and kind of make that thing more of a three-headed monster for the wide receiver spot, then I think our offense is going to be very hard to stop because there's not anyone to key on anymore, right, with Royals gone. So it's got to be able to facilitate it evenly amongst those guys, but also you got to win their one-on-ones and make sure Spencer trusts them.